Vegas, the city of bright lights, wild nights, and secrets that never stay buried. But nobody, and we mean nobody, saw this one coming. Brandi, the woman everyone thought had it all under control, has been thrown into the center of a scandal. So explosive, it's got fans, friends, and even her enemies completely shook. Word on the street and all over social media is that her man, the same man who's been by her side through the cameras, the chaos, and the tears, has been spotted in Vegas. It's with another woman. It's not just any woman, someone with ties that could shatter everything Brandi has built. The whispers started late last night, but by sunrise, the photos and videos had gone viral. Fans are asking, is this betrayal? Is this revenge? Or is there something even more sinister brewing beneath the surface? Insiders are spilling tea left and right. And trust us, this drama is about to get messy. From fiery phone calls to private confrontations behind closed doors. This Vegas scandal isn't just a headline. It's the kind of chaos that changes lives forever. And tonight, we're breaking down every shocking detail for you. Las Vegas has always had a way of testing relationships. But nobody thought Brandi's world would be the one to shatter in the middle of the night. It all started with a few blurry photos that surfaced online, posted by a stranger who claimed they just happened to be at the same hotel lounge where Brandi's man was seen. At first, it didn't seem real. I think the angle was off, the lighting was bad, and honestly, people have made mistakes before when it comes to lookalikes. But then came the video. It's clear as day, high definition, and enough to make even Brandi's closest friends gasp. Her man smiling, leaning in, his hand on another woman's waist, like he had nothing in the world to hide. And worse, the woman in question wasn't just anyone. She was someone with enough history and connection to make this entire situation explode far beyond just a simple night of betrayal. By sunrise, the internet was in chaos. Fans flooded the comments on every gossip page, tagging Brandi and demanding answers. Some defended her, saying it had to be a setup. Others were merciless, accusing her of ignoring red flags they claimed were there all along. But behind the trending hashtags and the fan theories, there was a very real storm brewing in Brandi's inner circle. People close to her revealed that her phone didn't stop ringing all morning. Friends, family, even producers from her reality show wanted to know if she'd seen the footage. And when she finally did, insiders say she went silent. No screaming, no crying, just a chilling silence that everyone around her knew meant this was about to turn into something far bigger than anyone expected. The timing made it worse. Brandi wasn't just dealing with a relationship scandal. She was preparing for one of the biggest appearances of her career. A high-profile event in Vegas that was supposed to be a celebration of her success. Instead, she found herself dodging cameras, avoiding interviews, and trying to figure out how something so personal had been dragged into the public eye. Those close to her say she barely slept, pacing her hotel suite while her team tried to control the narrative. But every hour, more details surfaced. Witnesses came forward saying they saw her man at the casino with the mystery woman, sharing drinks, laughing, and even disappearing together into one of the private VIP rooms. The woman herself has since been identified, and that's when the story truly blew up. She isn't some random stranger. She's someone who's been in the circle before. Someone Brandi has crossed paths with at events, and someone who allegedly has a history of stirring trouble in the shadows. For fans, this revelation turned what looked like a bad decision into a full-blown betrayal, with some even speculating that this wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Social media has been relentless, digging up old photos, old interviews, even past clips of Brandi talking about trust and loyalty in a relationship, using her own words to highlight how devastating this moment must be for her. But the worst part for Brandi, according to insiders, wasn't the public humiliation. It was the fact that she found out about her own man's alleged betrayal at the same time as millions of strangers. Those close to her say she kept asking the same question over and over. Why didn't anyone tell her? Apparently, a few people in the circle had heard rumors but didn't want to get involved. And now that silence has created a rift so deep that some friendships may never recover. It's not just her relationship that's on the line anymore. Her entire support system feels fractured. Meanwhile, her man has remained frustratingly quiet, while Brandi battles waves of online backlash and relentless press coverage. He's been spotted in Vegas still, reportedly holed up in a hotel suite, refusing to take calls or make any public statements. Some sources claim he's trying to figure out his next move, while others say he's acting like nothing happened, almost as if he's untouchable. That silence has only fueled speculation, with fans and even some insiders questioning whether he's hiding something even bigger than anyone knows yet. Producers from Brandi's show are said to be in full crisis mode. The scandal might be a nightmare for her personally, but for reality TV, it's ratings gold. There are whispers that cameras have already been rolling, capturing Brandi's raw reactions and the tense conversations happening behind closed doors. One insider even revealed that there's footage of her confronting someone close to her, demanding answers about who knew what and when. That's true. The upcoming season could be one of the most explosive yet, with real tears, real anger, and real consequences playing out on screen. The fans, for their part, have taken sides. Some are rallying around Brandi, flooding her social media with messages of support, calling her strong and reminding her that she deserves better. Others, however, have been less forgiving, accusing her of ignoring the warning signs and even suggesting that she's partly to blame for not keeping a closer eye on her relationship. It's a cruel reality of public life, where strangers feel entitled to judge every decision, every reaction, and every silence. And for Brandi, it's turning an already painful situation into a public trial she never asked for. What's adding even more tension is the way the mystery woman has been handling the spotlight. Rather than staying quiet or denying the rumors, she's been dropping cryptic posts on her own social media. Subtle captions, emojis that seem to hint at her side of the story, and even a few photos that fans have dissected endlessly, looking for clues about what really went down that night. One post in particular, showing a glass of champagne with a Vegas skyline in the background, sent fans into a frenzy after they matched it to the same suite Brandi's man was seen entering earlier that night. People close to the situation say Brandi is torn between rage and heartbreak. On one hand, she wants answers and maybe even revenge. On the other, she's struggling to process the fact that the person she trusted most may have been living a double life. That inner conflict has been evident in the few glimpses fans have gotten of her since the story broke. Paparazzi shots show her looking distant, her usual bright energy replaced with a heavy sadness that even her fiercest critics have admitted is hard to watch. And then there are the whispers about what happens next. Some sources claim Brandi is the betrayal cut deeper than anyone realized. It wasn't just about the infidelity. It was the humiliation, the fact that strangers knew before she did, and the way her inner circle seemed to splinter the second things went wrong. Friends who had once been fiercely loyal started to back away, afraid of the fallout. Some even distanced themselves publicly, claiming they hadn't seen this coming to avoid being dragged into the chaos. For Brandi, that abandonment was just as painful as the scandal itself. She had built her life on trust and loyalty, and now both felt like illusions. Meanwhile, her man stayed silent. Days went by with no statement, no apology, no attempt to clear the air. That silence, instead of cooling the fire, only added gasoline to it. Fans started calling him out in comments, tagging him in angry posts, and even showing up outside places he was rumored to be hiding. Rumors spread like wildfire that he'd left Vegas, that he was in talks with PR teams to craft an apology, that he'd been spotted with the same woman again in a different city. None of it could be confirmed, but the speculation was enough to keep the story alive and trending. Producers for Brandi's show, sensing the ratings goldmine, doubled down on their presence, Cameras followed her every move, capturing moments that, in another life, she never would have let the world see. There were whispered conversations with her mom, tearful phone calls to her best friend, and even a tense meeting with her management team where the question of what now hung heavy in the air. Insiders claim she wrestled with whether to confront him on camera, weighing the humiliation of airing her pain against the catharsis of finally taking control of the narrative. But as dramatic as things were behind closed doors, the real fireworks happened when Brandi finally stepped out in public. She attended a charity event, one she had committed 2 months before, and every camera in the room turned to her the moment she walked in. She didn't speak to the press, didn't address the scandal, but her presence alone sent a message. She wasn't going to let him or anyone else destroy her. Dressed in a sleek black gown, her hair perfectly styled, she looked composed. But those who know her say she was shaking the entire time. Behind her calm smile was a storm no one could. See, it was after that event that the first real confrontation happened. According to multiple sources, Brandi finally agreed to meet her man in a private suite to get answers. What started as a calm conversation quickly escalated. Witnesses claim they could hear shouting through the walls, accusations, denials. And at one point, the sound of something breaking. One insider revealed that Brandi's voice cracked as she screamed, "You didn't just betray me, you humiliated me in front of the world." He reportedly tried to downplay the situation, calling it a misunderstanding, but Brandi wasn't buying it. That meeting ended with her storming out, slamming the door behind her, and heading straight back to her team. The mystery woman didn't help matters either. Instead of backing off, she began giving cryptic interviews, hinting that there was more to the story and that Brandi wasn't as innocent as she looked. Those comments set social media ablaze. Fans split into camps, some defending Brandi fiercely, while others began questioning everything they thought they knew about her relationship. It was messy, it was painful, and it was exactly what the media wanted: a never-ending stream of drama that kept viewers glued to their screens behind the scenes. Brandi's support system was scrambling. Her best friend reportedly flew in to be by her side, and together they started making plans to leave Vegas and regroup somewhere private. But leaving wasn't easy. Contracts, appearances, and the looming reality show filming schedule kept pulling her back in. Every time she tried to step away from the chaos, something new would pull her deeper in: another rumor, another leaked video, another social media post from the woman at the center of it all. The emotional toll was evident. People who saw Brandi in those days describe her as a shell of herself, moving through rooms like she was on autopilot. She smiled for cameras when she had to, but the second the lights were off, the sadness crept back in. She confided in close friends that she didn't know who to trust anymore, that every conversation felt like it might end up in the tabloids. That paranoia, though understandable, only isolated her more, making her feel like she was fighting this battle entirely alone. And yet, even in the middle of the storm, there were moments where Brandi's strength shone through. One insider described a quiet night in her suite, where she sat with her mom and her best friend, sipping tea and talking about what comes next. "I don't know if I can forgive him," she reportedly said, "but I know I can't let this break me." Those words, raw and real, hinted at a resilience that her fans would soon rally behind. The turning point came when a new piece of evidence surfaced: a video from the same night, shot from a different angle, showing a conversation between her man and the woman that suggested their relationship wasn't as innocent as he had claimed. That footage was enough to silence even his most loyal defenders. Suddenly, the narrative shifted, and sympathy poured in for Brandi. Hashtags demanding she leave him began trending, and her social media filled with messages from fans encouraging her to stand strong for Brandi. That support was both comforting and overwhelming. She had never asked to be a public symbol of betrayal, but suddenly her pain had become a rallying cry for anyone who had ever been lied to, cheated on, or humiliated. That realization gave her a new sense of purpose. If she had to go through this, she was going to own it and maybe even use it to help others going through the same thing as the days rolled into the following week. The scandal refused to die down. If anything, it grew bigger, louder, and even more chaotic. Everywhere Brandi turned, there were reminders of what had happened, from the flashing TMZ headlines in hotel lobbies to the whispers of strangers passing her in the casino. The Vegas Strip, which had once felt like her playground, now felt like a stage where she had no control over the script. Producers leaned harder than ever, pushing her to film a heart-to-heart scene for the upcoming season. They wanted raw tears, broken trust, and a woman fighting to reclaim her power. Brandi resisted at first, refusing to let the cameras capture her most vulnerable moments. But after hours of back and forth, she finally agreed, on the condition that she would dictate the terms. She wanted it real, her words, her truth. And for once, the production team backed off and let her have that control, the scene. But just as the tide began to turn, another twist shook everything up. Late one evening, a paparazzi video surfaced, showing Brandi's ex in a quiet Vegas lounge, and he wasn't alone. The same woman from the original footage was by his side, laughing and leaning into him as though nothing had happened. The internet went into meltdown again, but this time, the outrage wasn't directed at Brandi's pain. It was squarely aimed at him. Fans labeled him the villain of the year, calling for boycotts of his projects and dragging him across every social media platform imaginable. Brandi, for her part, didn't respond publicly. Those close to her say she saw the video, took a deep breath, and simply said, "That's who he is. Let him have her." It was a moment of quiet strength that those around her will never forget. In private, though, the emotions were still raw. There were nights when she sat up late, replaying moments in her head, questioning how she could have missed the signs, and wondering if the love she thought they shared had ever really been real. Her inner circle became her safe haven during scene. Those weeks, her mom stayed by her side, cooking homemade meals in the hotel suite. Her best friend handled the press inquiries, running interference so Brandi could have some peace. And together, they created a plan to get her out of Vegas and into a quieter space where she could heal without the constant noise of flashing cameras and gossip blogs. But before she could leave, there was one final confrontation, one that no one saw coming. According to multiple sources, her ex showed up unannounced at her hotel, demanding to talk. Security tried to turn him away, but Brandi, against her team's advice, agreed to see him. What happened in that room remains one of the most talked about moments of the entire scandal. Some say he begged for forgiveness, promising to change. Others claim he tried to spin the narrative, insisting that the woman meant nothing and that the media had twisted everything. What everyone agrees on is that Brandi didn't back down. Calm, collected, and with the strength of someone who had finally found her voice. She told him, "You don't get to play the victim in my story. Not anymore." After that meeting, she walked away for good. Within 24 hours, her team confirmed to the press that the relationship was officially over. The announcement sent shockwaves through the industry, but for Brandi, it was liberating. For the first time in weeks, she felt like she could breathe again. She packed her bags, left Vegas, and headed to a private retreat where she could start the long process of healing and rebuilding, not just her image, but her sense of self, away from the blinding lights of Las Vegas. Brandi finally had the quiet she'd been craving, tucked away in a serene coastal retreat. She spent her mornings walking along empty beaches and her nights journaling, reflecting on everything that had happened. It wasn't easy. The memories still came in sharp flashes, and the betrayal still burned, but for the first time since the scandal erupted. She could hear her own thoughts without the noise of the world drowning her out. Her team, ever protective, made sure no paparazzi could track her down. They handled the press, negotiated upcoming appearances, and shielded her from the relentless chatter online. But even in her self-imposed exile, Brandi couldn't entirely escape the storm. Every so often, a friend would text her a headline or a social media clip, her ex partying in LA, the other woman posting cryptic captions that fans dissected endlessly, or gossip blogs speculating about whether Brandy would take him back. She ignored most of it, but sometimes, late at night, she'd scroll through the comments. The outpouring of support from fans, the messages from women sharing their own stories of heartbreak and betrayal, those words reminded her that she wasn't alone. That maybe her pain could help someone else feel a little less isolated. One evening, during a quiet dinner with her closest friends, Brandy opened up about her next steps. She spoke softly but firmly about not letting this scandal define her. She wanted to channel her pain into something meaningful, something empowering, not just for herself, but for others who had been through similar betrayals. "I don't want to just be the headline," she said, her voice steady. "I want to be the story of what comes after." Her friends rallied behind her instantly. Ideas flowed from writing a book to launching a foundation for women dealing with public breakups and online harassment. One idea that particularly resonated was starting a podcast where she could tell her side of the story, unfiltered and in her own words. It wasn't about dragging anyone or rehashing the scandal for clicks. It was about reclaiming her voice and turning her pain into power. The more they talked, the more excited Brandy became. For the first time in weeks, she felt a spark of hope, a sense of purpose that had been missing since the moment that damning Vegas footage hit the internet. But just as she began to find her footing, another twist threatened to pull her back into the chaos. A tabloid ran a sensational story claiming that her ex had been offered a lucrative deal to star in his own reality spin-off, a series that would reportedly feature his journey to redemption and, shockingly, the woman at the center of the scandal. The article painted Brandy as the cold ex, the one who had refused to forgive, and fans erupted with outrage. Hashtags like #BoycottTheShow and #TeamBrandy trended within hours, with thousands of people pledging never to watch anything that gave him a platform. Brandy, however, stayed silent. Privately, she was furious, not because of the show itself, but because of the way the media continued to frame her. She had moved on, focused on healing and rebuilding, but somehow the narrative always dragged her name back into the mud. Her publicist advised issuing a statement, but Brandy refused. "Let them talk," she told her team. "I know my truth. That's enough." And yet, the drama refused to die down. When a teaser clip from the proposed spin-off leaked online, showing her ex tearfully apologizing to the woman I hurt, social media went into overdrive. Some viewers accused him of using Brandy's pain for profit. Others speculated that the apology was directed at someone new. The noise was deafening, and once again, Brandy found herself at the center of a storm she never asked for. Instead of breaking down, though, she leaned into her newfound strength. She posted a simple, pointed message to her followers. "My story isn't his storyline. Watch me write my own ending." The post, paired with a serene photo of her standing by the ocean, resonated deeply. Fans flooded the comments with love and encouragement, turning her words into a rallying cry. Suddenly, #WriteYourOwnEnding was trending, with people sharing their own stories of resilience and growth after heartbreak. Behind the scenes, Brandy began to prepare for her official comeback. She worked quietly with a trusted production team to plan her podcast, lining up guests and mapping out episodes. She also began journaling more deeply, exploring the emotions she hadn't yet confronted. And those raw entries would later serve as the foundation for what fans would call her most vulnerable and inspiring project yet. But just when it seemed like Brandy was finally stepping out of the shadow of the scandal, the other woman struck again, this time with a bombshell interview. In a glossy sit-down with a major outlet, she painted herself as the misunderstood victim of a toxic relationship, claiming that Brandy's man had promised her the world while pretending to be committed elsewhere. She even insinuated that Brandy knew more than she let on, hinting that their relationship had been over long before the Vegas footage surfaced. The interview went viral overnight, reigniting debates and sparking another wave of headlines that once again dragged Brandi's name through the mud. For a brief moment, Brandi considered responding. She drafted a statement, even rehearsed what she might say in an Instagram Live. But in the end, she chose silence, not out of weakness, but out of strength. "I don't owe anyone my pain," she told her inner circle. "They can spin their stories. I'll live my truth." That quiet dignity earned her even more respect from fans and peers alike. Major celebrities began to publicly support her, praising her for handling the scandal with grace and strength. Opportunities started, pouring in brand deals, speaking engagements, and offers for television appearances. Brandi, once reduced to a tabloid headline, was slowly reclaiming her narrative and turning it into something powerful and positive. And yet, deep down, there were moments when the hurt still lingered. Late at night, alone in her retreat, she would sometimes replay old memories, the laughs, the promises, the quiet moments that had once felt so real. Healing, she realized, wasn't a straight line. It was messy, complicated, and often painful. But each day, she woke up a little, stronger, a little more certain that she was building a life no scandal could ever take from her. By the time she returned to the public eye, Brandi was transformed. No longer the broken woman at the center of the Vegas scandal. She walked into interviews and events with a quiet confidence that silenced even her harshest critics. The world had watched her fall apart, but now they were watching her rise. And this time, it was entirely on her terms. And there you have it, the full breakdown of the Vegas scandal that had everyone talking. From the shocking footage that set the internet ablaze to Brandi's powerful journey of healing and reclaiming her narrative. This story has been nothing short of a roller coaster. But here's the thing, this isn't just about celebrity gossip. It's about strength, growth, founding your own voice when the world is trying to tell your story for you. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think Brandi made the right choice by staying silent while the drama kept unfolding? Should she finally speak out in her own words, or is her quiet strength the ultimate clapback? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because your opinions shape the conversation just as much as the headlines do. And if you've been hooked on every twist and turn of this saga, make sure you hit that like button to show your support for Brandi's comeback. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on this wild ride. Because in the world of reality drama, the next chapter is always just around the corner. Your voice matters, your thoughts matter, and together, we're diving deeper into the stories that keep us all watching. So let's keep the conversation going right here, right now.